Nikola Jokic just had the best game ever. Nikola Jokic just dumped 56 points in a single game and somehow made it look like casual cardio. What jumps out first is how little he had to shoot to get there. He took just 21 shots. That's it. 15 of them dropped through the net, which comes out to over 71% from the field. That kind of efficiency on that kind of volume is just absurd. Jokic wasn't just hot, he was basically running a science experiment out there. Then, throw in the 4 makes from deep on just 6 attempts, and suddenly the floor spacing isn't just stretched, it's snapped in half. Now check this. 22 makes out of 23 tries at the free throw line. That's not just good, it's practically clinical. Defenders tried everything short of pulling the fire alarm to stop him, and all they got for it was foul trouble and a front row seat to a masterclass. Those 22 points from the line alone are more than a solid game for some starters, and Jokic barely blinked doing it. The guy didn't stop at scoring, obviously. He dished out 15 assists from a center, not just a few swing passes. This was full control of the offense. Possession after possession. Every time the defense shifted to him, he carved them up with passes. There's no way to sag off or double team him without getting punished. It's like playing chess with someone who already knows your next 10 moves. By the way, if you guys enjoy these deep dives, I'll be posting every day. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks. Anyways, he did throw the ball away 5 times, but let's be real. 5 turnovers when you're involved in nearly every single offensive action, that's nothing. That's like getting a paper cut during a marathon. It doesn't change the fact that you just ran the thing faster than anyone else. Now look at the boards. 16 total rebounds. 5 were offensive, which means he kept possessions alive and added even more pressure on Minnesota's defense. The other 11? They just made sure Minnesota didn't get second chances. Jokic was sealing off possessions at both ends, like he was running the scoreboard himself. Even on the defensive side, he didn't chase highlight stats. 2 blocks, 0 steals, but no wasted movement and no gambling. Just good positioning and enough rim protection to keep the Wolves thinking twice in the paint. That kind of defense doesn't scream on the stat sheet, but it absolutely matters. And it gets even more ridiculous when you throw in the minutes. 43 total. That includes overtime. You'd expect the efficiency to dip, right? It didn't. He kept right on delivering. In fact, he set a league record for the most points in an overtime period, 18. Nobody in NBA history had done that before. Not in the regular season, not in the playoff. He just decided to break the record on Christmas, like it was a holiday tradition. He wasn't just adding to the score, he was the reason Denver stayed alive in that extra period. They were getting cooked in the opening stretch of overtime. Then Jokic took over. No wasted motion, no hesitation, just bucket after bucket after bucket. He basically told the Wolves to take their little 9-0 run and go sit down. And look at the plus 15. In a game, Denver won by only 4. That tells you everything. When he was on the floor, they weren't just better. They were dominant. Every minute he sat, the Timberwolves had a chance. Every minute he played, they didn't. And let's not skip the historical part. This wasn't just a great game. This was the first time in league history that anyone put up at least 55 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists in one outing, ever. It's never been done. Not by any of the usual names you'd expect. This was a statistical unicorn galloping through the holiday schedule. Everything about this game, every column in the box score, worked together. No weak spots, no padding. High scoring, high efficiency, primary playmaking, rebounding dominance, and defensive presence, all packed into 43 minutes. And Jokic made it look like another day at the office. Denver didn't even have 3 of their starters, and still Jokic took over the entire game. That's not just carrying a team, that's dragging them uphill through overtime while setting league records and barely breaking a sweat. The Timberwolves got 44 from Anthony Edwards, and he still ended up ejected watching Jokic rewrite the stats in real time. So yeah, nothing in this game was normal. Not the scoring, not the assists, not the rebounding, not the fact that it all came with nearly perfect shooting. Jokic's line didn't just stand out. It broke records, warped expectations, and made the entire stat sheet feel like a cheat code. But the thing is, Jokic has been doing this all season. Let's start with how good his offense has been. Nikola Jokic is casually ripping through every advanced offensive metric this season like he's got a cheat code plugged in. His scoring, his passing, his decision making, it's all sitting at the top of the charts. And not just by a little. We're talking upper echelon territory where most players never even get a glimpse. The numbers don't just suggest he's great, they make it mathematically undeniable. Start with true shooting percentage, 70.5%. That's not just efficient, it's historically elite. It lands him in the 98th percentile, which means only a sliver of players in league history have ever sniffed that kind of scoring efficiency. When a player is that good at converting possessions into points, the rest of the offense unlocks instantly. Defenders have to collapse, rotations break down, and Jokic is standing there grinning with the ball, already thinking 3 steps ahead. Then look at shot quality, 73.8. That's not average, that's not good. It's in the 94th percentile. It shows that the shots he's taking are consistently smart, high percentage looks. Jokic doesn't waste possessions on low value attempts. Whether he's backing someone down or stepping out for a soft touch jumper, he's always within striking distance of the most optimal look. And that doesn't even factor in what happens when defenders get a little too handsy trying to stop him. His free throw rate is 39%, which puts him in the 88th percentile. That means almost 4 out of every 10 of his shot attempts end with him heading to the line. That's absurd efficiency. Jokic doesn't rely on drawing fouls, but he makes sure that when defenders start playing physical, he's the one cashing in. It forces defenses into impossible decisions. Either give up the shot or send him to the stripe, where he converts at a high rate anyway. That pressure doesn't just impact his numbers, it completely warps the way teams are forced to defend Denver. But it's not like he's doing all of this from the perimeter. His 3-point attempt rate is 27.2%, which places him in the 20th percentile. He's not chucking threes for volume. He only takes them when they make sense. Jokic's offensive dominance doesn't come from bombing away from deep. It comes from surgical efficiency in the paint, short mid-range, and post. He plays like a throwback with a modern twist. Total control, total balance. Now zoom out a bit and check offensive rebounding. He's pulling in 2.7 offensive boards a game, and that puts him way up in the 92nd percentile. Second chance points are built into his stat line. His touch and anticipation around the rim don't just get him buckets, they get Denver extra possessions. The play doesn't stop after the first miss. If Jokic is anywhere nearby, there's a good chance the ball's getting reset and turned into points. Turnovers, barely a blip. His creation adjusted turnover rate sits at 6.6%, which drops him into the 80th percentile. That's excellent when you factor in how much time the ball spends in his hands. The more you initiate the offense, the more likely you are to turn the ball over, but not in Jokic's case. He's making reads at such a high level that mistakes are rare, even when the entire possession runs through him. Speaking of control, his offensive load is off the charts. 69.1. That's the 100th percentile. Literally no one in the league is doing more with the ball. Every set, every action, every possession either starts with him or ends with him. There is no off switch. Jokic isn't just a part of the offense, he is the offense. And the team flows through him like it's been built in his image. His creation stat is also maxed out, 20.9, again sitting in the 100th percentile. That means he's generating shots for others at the highest rate in the league. This is not secondary playmaking from the elbow. This is full-scale offensive engineering. Every cut, every screen, every relocation off the ball is bait for Jokic to find the exact angle he wants. Defenders scramble, shooters drift to the open corner, and before they know it, the pass is already there. And portability, 9.5, 100th percentile again. This stat measures how well a player's game would fit on other teams, other rosters, other systems. Jokic scores perfectly. He doesn't need to dominate the ball, even though he can. He doesn't need high usage wing scorers to succeed, even though he can pair with them. He doesn't need spacing, pace, or transition to be effective. His offensive impact translates everywhere. I've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, and there's no better time to jump in on the action because new customers are getting an unbelievable offer right now. Thanks to DraftKings Sportsbook for sponsoring this video. If you love keeping up with the biggest moments happening this week, DraftKings lets you stay right in the middle of everything with live betting, player props, and same-game parlays that can turn every matchup into something even more exciting. And here's the best part. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Again, that's bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Just sign up using my promo code ModernJam to claim the offer. It's super easy to get started. And once you're in, you can use your bonus bets for even more action all week long. If sportsbook betting isn't available where you live, DraftKings still has daily fantasy, so you can get in on the fun and compete for cash prizes. So don't miss this. New customers turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Use promo code ModernJam when you sign up. The crown is yours. Then there's his passer rating, 95. One more time, 100th percentile. That's not just good for a big man. That's better than almost every guard in the league. Jokic doesn't throw passes, he throws daggers. No looks, skip passes, one-handed lasers, over-the-shoulder touch passes. He's got every single tool. And what makes it wild is that he's not doing it to rack up numbers. He's doing it because it's simply the best option on the floor. He makes passes no one else sees until the replay. Now get into the crafted offensive plus minus. 6.5. That's another perfect score, 100th percentile. This metric adjusts for spacing, opponent strength, teammates on the floor, and other contextual factors. Jokic still sits right at the top. He's not benefiting from smoke and mirrors or riding the wave of hot teammates. He's generating value out of thin air, over and over again. He warps the entire geometry of the game. Take all of these numbers and stack them together. What you get is a complete, dominant, offensive package that checks every single box. Elite scoring efficiency? Check. High shot quality? Check. Draws fouls? Converts at the line? Check. Takes smart threes without forcing them? Check. Crashes the boards for second chances? Check. Protects the ball while carrying the full offensive load? Absolutely. Creates for others at an unmatched level? Without a doubt. Fits into any system while still being the focal point of this one. That's what the portability shows. And tops it all off with historically great passing and adjusted impact. That's Jokic. There's no filler here. No weak stat column to nitpick. No but to add after the numbers. Every single offensive metric screams the same thing. This guy is on a different level, and he's doing it without needing isolation-heavy ball or leaning on volume. He's not just hunting stats, he's dismantling defenses with the most efficient toolkit in the league. And it's not a hot streak. It's not 1 week or 1 month. It's the entire season. Game after game, minute after minute, Jokic is putting up video game numbers in real life and doing it with precision that's almost boring in how inevitable it feels. There's never any sense of panic or force, just reads, reactions, and results. He's playing the most efficient offensive basketball in the league, and he's doing it from the center position. That's not normal. That's not supposed to happen. Bigs aren't supposed to run offenses like this. They're not supposed to read the floor like this. They're not supposed to be the best passer, best scorer, and best decision maker on the floor all at once. But Jokic is breaking all of that. He's not just an offensive hub. He's the system, the flow, the structure, and the bailout plan. When Denver needs a bucket, he gets it. When they need a play, he makes it. When nothing's working, he slows the game down and reshapes it into something they can control. There's no panic, no chaos, just command. So when you look at the stats, they don't just say Jokic is great, they scream that the entire offensive structure of the league has a new standard. Every team has to deal with this. Every matchup gets warped around it. And every night, he's making it look like a walkthrough. This is not normal. This is not just another all-star season. This is something different, something clean, calculated, and brutally efficient. Jokic is rewriting what elite offense looks like, and the numbers are the receipts. And the thing is, we can do the same for the other side of the ball. Nikola Jokic's defense this season has been quietly impactful in ways that don't always jump off the highlight reel, but the advanced numbers paint a very real picture. He's holding his own on that end of the floor, and in several categories, he's doing more than just surviving. He's actively making things harder for opponents. He's not the kind of player who lives for dramatic chase down blocks or wild closeouts, but what he does well is stay disciplined, smart, and efficient. And this year, that quiet consistency is showing up all across the data. Start with deflections. Jokic averages 3.7 per game, which lands him in the 80th percentile. That's a big deal because it shows how active his hands are. He's not sitting back waiting for something to happen. He's disrupting passing lanes, getting in the way of ball movement, and forcing opponents to think twice before making simple reads. That kind of defensive activity doesn't always lead directly to steals, but it breaks up rhythm and flow, which is massive for a team trying to control pace and positioning. Now, move over to defensive rebounding. Jokic grabs 0.9 defensive rebounds per minute, and that puts him in the 88th percentile. Rebounding isn't just about height or strength, it's about timing, positioning, and commitment to closing out possession. Jokic excels here. He doesn't rely on teammates to clean up missed shots. He takes responsibility for ending the opponent's trip, pulling down boards, and getting the ball out quickly to start the offense. It's a key part of why Denver can shift into their offensive sets so fast, because the ball doesn't get stuck or fought over under the rim. Rim frequency, which measures how often opponents attack the basket when Jokic is defending, sits at 38.9%. That's in the 64th percentile. So what does that tell us? It means players are still willing to challenge, but not recklessly. He's not a pure deterrent at the rim, but he's doing enough to force a second thought. That hesitation, even if small, gives the defense a chance to rotate, recover, or contest more effectively. But rim defense? That's where the cracks show a bit. At 2.4, Jokic ranks in the 29th percentile. That doesn't mean he's getting torched every time someone drives. It means when attackers get all the way to the rim, he's not providing elite resistance. He's not swatting shots away or changing trajectories at a high rate. That's not his strength. He's not built to be a rim vacuum. He's built to stay vertical, avoid fouling, and funnel players into tougher angles. And it's worth remembering that this metric doesn't account for the things he does before a shot is taken, like bumping cutters, calling out screens, or positioning early to prevent easy lanes. Now look at block percentage, 1.6. That lands in the 58th percentile. Middle of the pack? Sure, but again, it fits his style. Jokic doesn't chase blocks for the sake of stats. He times his contests, stays grounded, and tries to force misses through positioning. That's how you avoid being a liability in foul trouble, and it's why his foul rate, RPF, which sits at minus 0.6, is in the 79th percentile. He knows when to challenge and when to let it go. That kind of restraint is often underrated, but it's exactly what coaches want from a big who plays massive minutes and still needs to anchor the offense. Now let's talk about Air AD to. This is rotation adjusted defensive turnover. Jokic is at minus 0.2, putting him in the 35th percentile. Not ideal. This means he's not generating a high volume of turnovers through steals or on-ball pressure. He's not the guy jumping into passing lanes or stripping drivers in the lane. That's just not how he plays defense. And that's fine, because the rest of the defense is designed to rotate around that. He doesn't have to be a chaos agent. He just has to hold his spot, keep the paint organized, and avoid breakdown. Then there's versatility. And here's where the numbers really show his limitations. At 7.6, he sits in the 14th percentile. This stat tracks how many types of players a defender can guard across position. Jokic isn't switching onto guards or flying out to contest wings on the perimeter. He's not being asked to be a defensive Swiss Army knife. He stays anchored near the basket, where he can use his size, his timing, and his awareness to keep things under control. That doesn't make him a weak link. It just means he plays a specialized role. Not every defender needs to be everywhere. Jokic is best when he's in the middle of the action, managing space and reading the play before it happens. And then comes the big one, crafted defensive plus minus. Jokic scores 2.1. That's in the 94th percentile. That single number adjusts for teammate quality, opponent strength, and scheme. And despite some of the lower individual stats, Jokic still lands near the top of the league. Why? Because his total impact on team defense is strong. He doesn't do it with flash, he does it with stability. He keeps the structure sound, reduces breakdowns, and rarely makes mental errors. That's the kind of impact that advanced models love, because it shows up over the course of an entire season, not just on a highlight reel. Now take a step back and look at how all these numbers stack up together. Jokic isn't elite in every category, but what's impressive is how he maximizes his tool. He doesn't have the vertical pop of a shot blocker or the quick twitch speed of a perimeter defender, but he makes up for it with positioning, intelligence, and patience. He's a huge part of why Denver's defense doesn't fall apart. He rotates early, communicates well, and rarely gets caught out of position. He's not the guy chasing people around the arc, but he is the guy keeping the paint from turning into a layup line. There's also the mental side of it. Jokic sees plays develop early. He anticipates ball movement. He knows where the second and third options are, not just the first. That level of defensive awareness doesn't show up in many of the raw stats, but it does show up in team performance. And that's why his crafted DPM is so high, because when he's on the floor, teams don't get as many easy looks. He cuts off actions before they get dangerous. He positions himself to box out, grab rebounds, and start the break. He does the little things right. His low foul rate is another underrated aspect of his game. It means he's on the floor more. It means opponents aren't getting free trips to the line. It means Denver's rotations don't get wrecked by unnecessary whistles. That kind of discipline is crucial when your best player is also your offensive engine. Jokic can't afford to sit, and he rarely has to. And sure, there are areas where he's limited. He's not flying around like a one-man defensive highlight reel. He's not switching everything or locking down guards on the perimeter. But that's not his job. His job is to hold the core together, protect the interior, and make smart decisions. And that's exactly what he's doing this season, at a very high level. What makes his defensive value even more important is how it fits into the bigger picture. Jokic isn't just playing good D for a center. He's doing it while carrying the heaviest offensive load in the league. That kind of balance is rare. Most players who dominate on offense take breaks on defense. They rest. They float. Jokic doesn't. He's involved on both ends, and he's doing it with incredible consistency. So when the full season is taken into account, Jokic's defense this year is not just passable. It's effective, efficient, and sometimes even quietly dominant. He's not blocking 5 shots a night or switching out on every pick and roll, but he is anchoring a defense that functions well when he's on the floor. His presence helps the system work. His hands disrupt plays. His rebounding ends possessions. His awareness keeps rotations tight. And the advanced numbers, especially crafted DPM and deflections, show just how valuable that steady presence really is. Add it all together, and Jokic's defense this season is a perfect match for what Denver needs. He stays grounded, reads the floor, and delivers solid results without risking foul trouble or losing structure. The stats tell the story. He's not flashy, but he's extremely effective. And when your best player gives you that kind of contribution on D while running the offense at a historic level, that's how you build a team that wins consistently. Jokic is doing exactly that on both ends. Check this out though. Nikola Jokic is putting together a season so efficient, so complete, and so dominant that it barely looks real when laid out in numbers. It's not just about scoring, passing, or rebounding anymore. His total impact on the court has ballooned into something bigger. Every stat screams it. Every advanced metric backs it. He's affecting every part of the game, and the gap between him and most of the league is starting to look hilarious. Start with his offensive rating, 129.5. That's not just top tier, it's absurd. That number puts him well beyond almost every other player in the league because it measures how many points his team scores per 100 possessions when he's on the floor. 129.5 means the offense is humming, like a machine with him in the middle. Shots fall more, ball movement improves, scoring becomes easier. It's not that he fits into the offense, it's that he is the offense. Now flip it to the other end. Defensive rating at 117.7. That might not sound elite, but it's all about the context. Jokic isn't a pure lockdown guy, but he's holding down the interior, boxing out, rebounding, and helping contain actions enough to make the numbers respectable. And when you balance it against his offensive rating, the result is massive. A net rating of plus 11.9. That means when Jokic is on the floor, the team outscored opponents by nearly 12 points per 100 possessions. That's not just winning minutes, that's domination. And it's not like this is some small sample or fluky stretch. This is game after game with consistency that's terrifying for opponents. 83.3% of his games have ended with a positive plus minus. So in over 8 out of every 10 games, the scoreboard leaned in Denver's favor while Jokic is playing. That's not streaky shooting or lucky runs. That's control. It's impact that never fades. Now go to the on-off numbers. When Jokic is on the court, his team outscores the opponent by 10.7 points per 100 possessions more than when he's off. That is off the charts influence. That number is better than 100% of players across the league. That's not a joke. It's the full 100. Nobody else is doing more to move the needle for their team. The second he hits the bench, the margin drops. When he checks back in, it climbs. It's direct, obvious, and measurable. And it's not just influence through scoring. Jokic's ball handling and decision making are off the charts. His ball handling score ranks at the 100th percentile. That means nobody is doing more with the ball as a big man. He's not just bringing the ball up the floor sometimes, he's orchestrating the offense, navigating traffic, directing cuts, making reads that guards would envy. It's not even fair how calmly he handles pressure while threading passes through 3 defenders, like he's folding laundry. Speaking of passing, the assist numbers are unreal. 11 assists per game from the center position. That alone is ridiculous, but it gets even better when you dig into assist percentage, 47.15%. That means Jokic is assisting on nearly half of his teammates' field goals while he's on the floor. That's not just playmaking, it's control. That puts him ahead of 99% of the league. He's not occasionally finding cutters, he's creating their points. His passing unlocks shooters, fuels backdoor plays, and tears open defenses that would otherwise be solid. And then look at points assisted, 26.4 per game. That's the amount of scoring Jokic creates without shooting. That's like having a second all-star just from his passes. The guy is basically a system, all by himself. And he does it without turning the ball over constantly. His turnover rate is just 14.6%, placing him better than 70% of the league. That's incredibly low for someone handling the ball this much. He's logging 20.9 scoring actions per game, buckets, free throws, assists, turnovers, and only gives it away 3.6 times on average. That means he's taking high usage, high responsibility, and turning it into steady production with minimal mistakes. He's involved in almost 30% of Denver's offensive plays, and somehow keeps the whole thing running without turning it into chaos. Now move over to rebounding. Jokic averages 12.1 rebounds per game. That alone puts him ahead of 97% of the league. But it's not just volume, it's about timing and control. On the offensive glass, he grabs 2.9 a game, which lands him in the 86th percentile. That's second chances Denver doesn't have to fight for. He just takes them. On the defensive side, it gets even more extreme. He pulls down 9.2 boards a game on that end, and his defensive rebound percentage sits at 25.68%. That's higher than 97% of players. So what does that mean in plain terms? It means Jokic is responsible for ending 1 out of every 4 available defensive rebounding opportunities by himself. He's not letting opponents reset. He's grabbing the board, making the outlet, and instantly flipping the court. It's not just cleanup work, it's the beginning of the next possession, the setup for the next assist, or the transition chance that nobody else even saw. Even the offensive rebounding percentage is impressive, 9.25%. That means nearly 1 in 10 missed shots on his end are ending up right back in his hands. That's incredibly disruptive for opposing defenses. It forces bigs to stay glued to him after the shot, and it prevents fast breaks. Just by sticking around the rim and reading the bounce, Jokic takes control of possessions that should have ended. All of this combined makes it pretty clear Jokic isn't just a statistical marvel. He's one of the most efficient, impactful players in the league by a wide margin. No one else is dragging their team's performance numbers up this dramatically across every category. The efficiency on offense, the control on the glass, the low turnover rate, the elite assist percentage, the sky-high on-off numbers, it all adds up to a season that defies expectations for what a center should be able to do. And none of this is inflated by easy minutes or garbage time padding. He's doing this against top-tier opponents in high-pressure situations while anchoring a team that leans on him for everything. His usage rate of 29.5% shows just how much is funneled through him. Nearly 1/3 of every play while he's on the floor ends with him doing something. And yet the efficiency doesn't fall. The decisions don't get sloppy. The numbers don't dip. He's combining high usage with elite efficiency, high creation with low turnover, high rebounding with strong outlet passing, and top-tier on-off impact with consistent two-way presence. It's like watching someone engineer the perfect blueprint for winning basketball, then go out and run it himself. What makes it all more ridiculous is that these stats aren't coming from a traditional guard. They're coming from a big man, a center, someone you'd expect to live in the paint and catch lobs, not run pick and rolls and toss no-look passes to corner shooters. But Jokic keeps flipping those expectations on their heads because nothing about his game fits the mold. And at this point, it's not just rare, it's historic. So when you go through all the metrics, one thing becomes very clear. Jokic's season is a total numbers takeover. Whether you look at points generated, assists, rebounds, efficiency, team margin, or control, he's at the top or close to it in nearly every category. And none of it is propped up by gimmicks or inflated stats. It's all real, it's all sustainable, and it's all rooted in the way he sees and manipulates the game. There's no mystery here. The data is loud, it's clear, it's relentless. Jokic is not just helping Denver win, he's making every second he's on the court a complete advantage. Every stat line he produces is a brick in a wall that other teams have to try and climb. And right now, nobody seems close to the top. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.